podcasters and coaches and entrepreneurs, consultants. So today we'll talk to you real quick about a question that came up during a coaching call, which was what to name your podcast. How do you name your podcast? What's the best way to name your podcast so that you attract your dream clients? So there's really two key important things about naming your podcast, right? So I live in New York City and there are restaurants everywhere, right? Restaurants everywhere. And the most interesting thing that I see is that the most highly trafficked websites, the highly trafficked restaurants, the ones that tend to get the most people that visit the restaurants are the ones that are very specific about the restaurant. Like, what is the food that's inside? They don't get fancy and create all these brand names and like names that are not super clear what kind of food the restaurant offers. So that's key number one, is that you gotta pick a name that is very clear to your audience. So once they join your podcast, you subscribe to, or they come across it, it should be very, very clear what kind of content you create. Don't create some kind of brand name for your podcast that is not easily recognizable by someone that's never heard of you before, right? Think about it that way. If someone's never heard of you before, will your brand name, if you use a brand name on your podcast, will that actually get them to listen? Most likely not. Most likely they're more interested in what can this podcast teach and what can this podcast solve for their current problems. What kind of goals do they have, and will this podcast help them reach that? So that's number one, is to remember that the goal of your podcast name is to attract brand new listeners, right? People that have never heard of you before. If they never heard of you before, they've never heard of your brand name before. If they never heard of your brand name before, then that means it won't make sense. And they don't have the context to understand that this podcast is for them. So that's number one, is always to be very specific about, think about it from the perspective of a brand new listener. Will that name actually make sense to them? Or is it a branded name or something that's obscure that someone that is coming across your podcast for the first time, it won't make sense to them? So there's kind of some tricks to making this work. My favorite is what I call the X for Y technique. X for Y means topic for audience, okay? Topic for audience, using this format. So what does that mean is that if you are podcasting about like life coaching or business coaching, what you don't want to do is, again, use a brand name. Instead, you want to call out your specific topic of your podcast, right? Let's say it's business coaching, or it's life coaching, relationship coaching. Maybe you do social media marketing. So that is your topic. Now, who is your audience? Who is that podcast specifically for? And that is how you get very specific about your niche, so that when your dream client comes along, they're like, wait a second, I'm interested in that topic and this is for me, because of the way the name is structured. So you can think of it this way. My Facebook group, which is also a lot of my other kind of material, is called Podcasting for Entrepreneurs. So the topic is about podcasting, but is it podcasting for, is it podcasting for comedians? Is it podcasting for fans of sports? Is it podcasting for music? No, it's specifically podcasting for entrepreneurs. That is my dream client. That is my tribe. That's the people that I want to attract to my content. So I call it podcasting for entrepreneurs, the X for Y technique. So think about that for yours. What is a topic that you want to talk about, that is a part of your business, the kind of topics, the kind of transformation, the kind of help that you offer to your clients? And who exactly is your client? Who exactly is your ideal client? So I know a lot of times you'll be thinking, well, anybody can benefit from this podcast, so I should be very broad. That is a really big mistake, because no one goes and is excited to go to a buffet that has a bunch of different options, but none of them are that good. They look for very specific restaurants to go to, right? If you're about to go out on a date or go out with your friends, you're going to look for, what is the best Japanese restaurant around? What is the best Mexican restaurant around? What is the best Italian restaurant around? No one says, what is the best buffet, right, to go to? So you want to be very specific about what topic you're talking about, and then who is it for specifically. The more specific you can get, the much easier it is to attract your dream clients to your podcast. So X or Y technique, what is the topic of your podcast? Who is it for specifically? And really spend time thinking about this, because you want to be specific as possible, and that will call out to your dream client. Because think about it, they're scrolling through your podcast app looking for new podcasts to listen to, and let's say that you do business coaching for accountants, right? And they see something about business coaching for accountants, or business advice for accountants, or marketing for accountants, right? Your topic is about marketing. Your topic is about growing their business. Who's it for accountants? And this is where it calls out to your dream client. So think about how to set up for your podcast, X or Y technique. If you already have a podcast live and you don't have a lot of listeners, perfect time to change your show name, right? You don't have a lot of listeners. You have nothing to lose anyway. So if you aren't attracting your dream clients, you already have a podcast, change your show name. You have nothing to lose if you don't have a lot of listeners yet. So that's one thing. One thing to think about is you want your show name, your podcast name, to really call out to your dream clients, so when they come across it, they will understand it's for them. Second thing is it has to include keywords that your dream clients will look for. So I've had clients in the past, my own clients in the past, who have done things like life coaching, right? Life coaching is their business, is their passion. But the people that need life coaching probably are not always looking up the word life coaching, right? They might be looking up something specific like relationship advice, or they might look up career advice or leadership advice, or they're looking for very specific problems to solve, and they're not looking for the word, life coaching, right? So think about what is the keyword that your audience, your dream clients, is searching for when they need help. Is it about, improving their marriage? Is it about improving their relationship with their parents, improving the relationship with their children? Is it about growing their careers? If it's one of those things, what is the keyword that they would search when they begin on this journey where they want to improve their lives, right? If you're going to add that keyword into your show name, it becomes way more discoverable, because again, people are not going into podcast apps or even Google search looking up the word life coach. They probably have a problem they want to solve, and they're probably going to look up keywords about that problem, not so much about the solution, right? Your solution is life coaching, but that is not the problem that you're solving. And when you think about it from the perspective of your dream clients, they're always thinking about their problem. So they're gonna be searching for their problem. So think about how to include the problem inside your show name. So the problem inside your show name is so vital, and make sure that it is actually a keyword that that your clients are searching for. So drop in the comments of this what show name you have come up with, or what show name you're thinking about changing your show to, and I'll be in there letting you guys know if it's a good option or not. I'd be happy to kind of figure out what is right for you. Now, if you are a coach or consultant or someone that is building a business and you want to attract more dream clients using a podcast, or you already have a podcast and you want to attract more of your dream clients, so you can build your authority, so you can charge higher prices, you can build your credibility so it makes it easier to land clients. You want to be able to build an audience so that you have a waiting list of people ready and willing to work with you, and not constantly having to be hunting for clients. And you want to do it through podcasting. Then I invite you to click the link in this post, book a call with me and my team, and we will see if podcasting and what we have to offer is a good fit. If it is, we'll go way more into the information that you need to make a decision to join or not. And so all starts off with those booking call with me, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.